All right, everyone, now the showdown begins. Of course, the looming debt ceiling, it is being approached as we speak, and Kevin McCarthy and the Republicans in the House have whipped up a budget. It's a proposal that counters the one that's being made by Biden, whereby you have enormous amounts of bloated spending and, an enormous amount of deficit. The deficit came down because the original rescue plan lapsed. Biden really did a lot to cause that to happen. Pro tip, it was literally nothing. The deficit is still very high under Joey, and will remain so assuming that he gets his budgetary desires. Of course, the expansion of the IRS, student loan debt forgiveness, continuing payments via the infrastructure plan, etc., etc., etc. It's an enormous amount of spending, much of which is going to shovel-ready 2.0, unnecessary bloat for federal bureaucrats, including the IRS, by the way, and the Republicans are countering it. Now, they're trying to parse out, they're effectively trying to block any possibility of student loan debt forgiveness under their budgetary proposal. The main chunk of the budget is basically just the continued federal funding. There are some interesting things in there, though. The removal of the attempt to expand the IRS. Now, some people are saying, well, that'll actually cost a lot of money. Okay, it's counterbalanced by all the other things in the GOP bill. For instance, a cap on the growth of the federal budget for at least the next 10 years. A steep reduction in the actual spending in some bureaus as of day one, effectively. Again, not expanding the IRS is, in my opinion, a good idea. Yes, I know it'll pay for itself. Yeah, but it's not going to pay for itself because they're actually going to go after the billionaires. You can claim that all you want. Oh, they're going to go after the evil rich people. No, they won't. They'll go after the middle class. Those are the people most likely to get audited, working and middle class people, because they are in that special group that doesn't necessarily have the money for a high-grade accountant, but they don't necessarily have the business acumen to fill out the taxes themselves and make sure that every I is dotted and T crossed. And so you get people that are skeeving a little bit. Well, they're likely to get caught again, the overreach with regards to your write-offs or whatever. People that are very wealthy tend not to do that. They tend to hide their money in other ways from taxation, through various investments and all sorts of kickbacks and legal loopholes that only the rich can actually make use of. They're not the ones that are going to get successfully audited because much of that is legal to begin with. And again, they're trying to go through tax returns for Trump for years and years and years. They keep thinking that they're going to get him, by the way. Now they've dovetailed it in with federal election law for Alvin Bragg's case. They had to do so much legal goddamn pretzel squirming in order to actually even have a suit get through a grand fucking jury. It shows you the loophole-addled system of the super rich, of which Trump is a member, and he'd be crazy not to use legal loopholes. Who wouldn't? If I had an income in the 7-8 figure range, of course I would get a top-class tax attorney to look into it and help me keep my money out of the hands of the greedy government as much as legally possible. And no more than that, because, again, you don't want to give the IRS the ability to fuck you in the ass. But yeah, I'm going to spend it on me. The government's going to spend it on killing you. Well, I would just rather buy myself something than buy Uncle Sam a bomb to go kill a bunch of Yemeni children in the orphanage, okay? Kevin McCarthy's Showdown, though, hits a hard stop. When you consider that Joe Biden, and he is the voice of what is left of the so-called moderate Democrats, plenty of people in the House especially, with the Democrats, people like AOC, who are much more hardline than the neolibs run by Biden. Biden has already told the Republicans he's not negotiating at all. He's been casting it off basically as, well, the Republicans don't want to negotiate, and until the last couple of days, they don't even have a budget, so why are they complaining about mine? Well, now they have a budget. You can see what's in it. Much of it is going to be similar effectively, other than the cap on growth in government and reduction of some of the bureaus, to Biden's budget anyway. It's not really that hard line. I would point out it's not exactly a winning issue for the Democrats. They've taken their lumps on this to expand the IRS. That might actually be part of it that Biden accepts. Now, the Biden admin having ruled out negotiating doesn't necessarily mean that they won't negotiate. That could just basically be, hey, you don't have a mandate, back down. You've only got a thin House majority. All you need are 5 or 6 Republicans there to defect, and your own budget collapses because you can't unite your own party. Trump may end up having to get involved at some point because he's the actual leader of the Republican Party right now, not Kevin McCarthy. He's not well respected, although I will point out that there is a little bit of good in there. He has done what he said that he would do in order to get the Freedom Caucus to put him through as House Speaker. He has made good on his vows to them. Whether any of those attempts are particularly successful or not is, of course, up to the House Republicans at large. He has brought to the table all of the motions that they wanted, including those that were voted down, like Matt Gaetz' proposals. And then they passed through, of course, an end to the Hong Kong emergency, which I support as well. Biden, in the end, it was bipartisan, so he had no choice to sign it. And I thought that was funny because it was almost like Biden was being compelled. He knew that the veto would be overridden, so he switched around and vetoed some other shit. Anyway, Kevin McCarthy may or may not be successful at extracting any considerable concessions. Like let's say you support this by and large, and I do support those, the cap in the growth in government, reduction of some of the bureaus. I don't want to expand the IRS. The student loan debt forgiveness thing is a scam. Probably won't be upheld by the courts anyway, even if this doesn't go through. If you support these things, don't expect to get more than one or two of them. And which ones end up in the end being accepted, that remains to be seen. With the House, of course, though, being comprised of majority Republicans, there's no way that a mainline budget, like if Biden were to simply say, no, I'm not negotiating, his budget comes up for a vote, would it pass? No. There aren't enough votes for it. In fact, some Democrats might balk at elements of Biden's spending as well. We've seen that happen. Wait till it gets to the Senate. Manchin and Sinema do exist at this time. Therefore, you need to have a negotiated budget between the two of them, otherwise you don't have a budget. Then the debt ceiling is reached and the government goes into shutdown. Now, unfortunately, government shutdown doesn't mean government shutdown. Government keeps functioning on fumes. It just furloughs a bunch of non-essential workers and then closes up parks and things like that. Unfortunately, it doesn't mean an end to the corrupt bureaucrat class in general. And those people that are furloughed, they'll get their back pay once you do make the notes right anyway. So the taxpayers, unfortunately, can't escape whatever budgetary concept is in place at any given time. What we need to do, though, is shrink things. The government should be frozen for the next couple of years. It's a proposal as far as the budget goes to allow the private markets to catch up. We've done this before several times, and it works wonders. And then, yes, constraining growth to keep it more in line with the economy in general. That's good. That's a good idea. By the way, it would also eliminate the remaining infrastructure spending, which is many hundreds of billions of dollars. I wouldn't expect the Republicans to get that. I'd say that the biggest thing the Democrats might be willing to parse out of their own budget is the IRS expansion, ironically. Well, it's something. It's definitely a big sticking point. Hell, the Republicans should go further. That might be Kevin McCarthy's problem, because the Freedom Caucus members do. They want more things in there. They want more cuts, more spending caps, more parsing away of Biden's priorities to strip, in some cases, to literally defund and abolish some of the bureaus. There's scuttlebutt about them wanting to do that, or at the very least, massively reduce them, like the FBI, because of its political corruption. Try getting them into a room with a neocon unipartyist, and they'll have problems figuring out what to have for lunch. Well, I want to have ultra spicy goddamn tacos topped with habanero sauce. And the rhinocon says, no, I want to eat ice for lunch. Well, they appear to be at opposite ends of the spectrum. It's going to be difficult for them to come to a conclusion, assuming that they have to share the same lunch, about what the fuck they're going to order. I guess maybe spicy tuna fish in the end. Something a little bit more mild. Some Anaheim pepper salad or something like that. That's about all. Peace out.